On a summer afternoon in Pensacola, Florida, shoppers expected discounted drills and garden hoses, not a cold-blooded execution. But on August 11, 2023, aisle 52 of a Home Depot became the stage for a brutal killing. 18-year-old Brooklyn Sims, a young mother and employee, was gunned down in broad daylight, allegedly by the father of her child, Keith Agee. And if that wasn't disturbing enough, police say his own mother, Sheila Agee, helped him plan it. Why did this happen? And how did it all go so far, so fast, without anyone stopping it? The Home Depot murder, as it came to be known, unfolded just after 1:30 p.m. on August 11, 2023, in Pensacola, Florida. The victim was Brooklyn Sims, just 18 years old, a mother, and an employee at the store. Witnesses reported that a man calmly entered the store, walked down an aisle, and opened fire on Sims in front of customers and coworkers. That man, according to police, was Keith Agee, 20, of Citronelle, Alabama, Sims's ex-boyfriend and the father of her child. But this wasn't just a tragic crime of passion. Investigators discovered that Keith had allegedly been assisted and encouraged by his own mother, Sheila Agee, 50, who reportedly sent texts urging him to kill Sims. The evidence suggested chilling coordination. Sheila allegedly provided Brooklyn's location and told Keith to do what you got to do. Keith was arrested shortly after the shooting. Sheila was arrested days later. By August 29, both were indicted for first-degree premeditated murder. The crime shocked the nation not only for its violence but for its calculated planning, and the unsettling idea that a mother could help her son commit murder. What followed was a legal saga filled with shocking twists, damning texts, and one very bored juror. Long before shots echoed through aisle 52, there was a young couple, like many others, trying to navigate life, love, and a newborn. Brooklyn Sims, just 18, had her whole life ahead of her. She worked hard, smiled often, and was raising a baby daughter with Keith Agee, the father of her child. But behind their social media smiles was a toxic storm quietly building. Their relationship had fractured into volatility and fear. According to court filings and protection orders, Brooklyn had previously accused Keith of abusive behavior. On February 15, 2023, two women filed protection from abuse petitions against Keith Agee in Washington County, Alabama. Though the names were not made public, one is widely believed to be Brooklyn Sims. By March 21, the court had granted those orders, which legally restricted Keith from contacting them. Let that sink in. Court acknowledged danger months before anyone pulled a trigger. But if you think those orders cooled things down, think again. According to investigators, Keith and Brooklyn's relationship remained messy. They were co-parenting, but things were far from civil. Texts later uncovered revealed rising tension, escalating accusations, and emotional manipulation. One of the most shocking claims came from Keith himself, who allegedly told police that the final straw, the thing that pushed him over the edge, was learning that Brooklyn had given him a sexually transmitted disease. Now, if that were true, it would be devastating. But here's the twist, it wasn't. According to Escambia County State Attorney Ginger Bowden Madden, medical records proved that Brooklyn Sims did not have any STD. Prosecutors argued that Keith's claim was either a delusion or a deliberate lie to justify premeditated murder. Even more damning, Keith allegedly sent messages before the murder saying, "She gave me something. I'm going to get her." Yet no such infection ever existed. According to prosecutors, that accusation was a fabricated motive, used to rationalize his violent intent, not in the heat of the moment, but after a long digital paper trail of plotting, venting, and yes, receiving help from his mom. This is where the story veers from tragic to truly twisted. According to the Escambia County Sheriff's Office, Sheila didn't just know about Keith's anger, she allegedly helped him channel it into murder. This wasn't a crime of impulse, they say. It was a group project. Investigators unearthed a string of chilling text messages between Keith and Sheila leading up to August 11. Sheila allegedly urged her son on with disturbing clarity. One now infamous message read, "If you don't come kill her you a MFB****ch. That's not exactly your typical mother-son bonding moment over coffee and crossword puzzles." Another message from Sheila allegedly gave Brooklyn's exact location inside the store, warning Keith, "As long as you don't shoot me." Take a moment. Think about what that implies. She wasn't saying don't do it. She was saying don't get me caught in the crossfire. According to the police report, Keith then responded with practical concerns, not about the morality of murder, but about the store layout and cameras. This was no spur-of-the-moment blow-up. This was a logistical operation. And the logistics didn't stop there. Keith reportedly deleted all their text conversations, but investigators retrieved them from Sheila's device. She too had allegedly discussed erasing messages. Those texts became the smoking gun in the courtroom. Now, if you're wondering how a mother-son duo could plan a murder across state lines, from Citronelle, Alabama to Pensacola, Florida, and actually go through with it, you're not alone. Keith allegedly drove 90 minutes across the state line on that Friday morning, armed and angry, with his mind set on murder. He entered the Home Depot quietly, walked past garden hoses and toolkits, and shot Brooklyn multiple times as she worked in the aisle. As customers screamed and employees scrambled for safety, Keith simply walked away. Not ran. Walked. He was arrested shortly afterward at a nearby restaurant, sitting calmly, like a man waiting for lunch, not fleeing a murder scene. Meanwhile, back in Alabama, Sheila was arrested within days. Prosecutors didn't hesitate. Both were charged with first-degree premeditated murder on August 29, 2023, and denied bond. By September 1, they stood in court to be arraigned. Now, let's pause for a second. Back in the day, when you got in trouble, your mom might ground you. Maybe take away your Game Boy. But helping you commit murder across state lines? That wasn't in the parenting handbook, I checked. This isn't Mothers Know Best. This is Mothers Know Where She Works and Will Text You Directions. The murder in aisle 52. August 11, 2023, it was a hot Friday afternoon in Pensacola, Florida. The kind of day when construction workers head to Home Depot for a replacement drill bit and dads pretend they know how to fix leaky faucets. Nothing about this day was supposed to end in gunfire. Brooklyn Sims, 18, was on shift at the Home Depot on North Davis Highway, helping customers find supplies in aisle 52. She was young, polite, and hardworking. A mother trying to do right by her daughter. Witnesses say she didn't seem stressed that day. Just another afternoon shift. But while she was organizing merchandise, her ex-boyfriend and father of her child, Keith Agee, was driving across state lines, heading straight to her. According to police and later court testimony, Keith Agee left Citronelle, Alabama early that day with a loaded firearm. The drive took approximately 90 minutes. Keith didn't storm into the store. He entered like a regular customer. According to Escambia County Sheriff Chip Simmons, surveillance footage showed Keith walking calmly through the aisles. No yelling. No rage. Just a man on a mission. Then he reached aisle 52. Without warning, he opened fire. Multiple rounds. Brooklyn collapsed onto the floor. She didn't stand a chance. But it wasn't just Brooklyn who was hit. Two other Home Depot employees, both innocent bystanders, were also grazed by bullets. They survived, but the trauma was real. Witnesses screamed. Customers ducked behind shelves. Others fled toward exits. Chaos unfolded in seconds. As for Keith, he walked away from the scene and into a nearby restaurant. Officers swarmed the area. Minutes after the shooting, Keith Agee was spotted sitting at a restaurant less than a mile away. He didn't run. He didn't hide. He waited. Eyewitnesses were stunned. Here was a man who had just shot the mother of his child in cold blood, sitting like he was waiting for a sandwich and a Coke. Police moved in. He surrendered without resistance. That level of calmness? That's not grief. That's premeditation. At first, authorities thought this was a typical domestic tragedy. But as detectives began to dig into Keith's phone records, the case grew darker and stranger. They found text messages between Keith and his mother, Sheila Agee, discussing the planned murder. Evidence showed Sheila allegedly provided Brooklyn's schedule and store location. She encouraged him with phrases like, "If you don't come kill her, you a MFB ***ch. She even warned, "Just don't shoot me." And most damningly, she reportedly discussed deleting their messages afterward. It was like watching a murder mystery play out in iMessage. Except it wasn't fiction. It was real. And it was unfolding in real time. Prosecutors would later present these texts as Exhibit A, evidence that this killing wasn't just a crime of passion. It was a family-coordinated execution. Remember the days when your mom texted you reminders to bring home milk or wear clean underwear to school? Yeah. Sheila Agee was out here texting. Kill her. But don't shoot me. If Southern Hospitality ever needed a rebranding, this would be the moment. Just days after Keith's arrest, Sheila Agee was arrested in Washington County, Alabama. She was taken into custody without incident. On August 29, 2023, a grand jury in Escambia County, Florida, indicted both Keith and Sheila Agee for first-degree premeditated murder. Both were denied bail and arraigned on September 1, 2023. Prosecutors made it clear they would pursue life sentences. From then on, the case moved swiftly. Keith Agee's trial was fast-tracked. Prosecutors brought forward surveillance footage of Keith entering the store, forensic analysis of the firearm, testimonies from witnesses and employees, medical records proving Brooklyn did not have an STD, contrary to Keith's motive. The courtroom heard that Keith blamed Brooklyn for allegedly giving him an STD, but doctors and labs showed she had no such infection. That motive? False. As Assistant State Attorney Matt Gordon argued, this was not vengeance. It was calculated slaughter, wrapped in lies. Defense tried to argue emotional disturbance and confusion. But it wasn't enough. Not with text messages, gunshot trajectories, and surveillance footage all lined up. On December 20, 2023, the verdict came in. Guilty of first-degree murder. Sentence, life without parole. Keith didn't cry. He didn't flinch. He reportedly stared straight ahead. While Keith was sent to prison, Sheila Agee's trial began in November 2024. It was highly publicized. After all, how often do you see a mother on trial for allegedly plotting a murder with her son? But just when prosecutors were laying out their case, chaos hit again. A juror was caught doing crossword puzzles during witness testimony. Not reading evidence. Not taking notes. Crosswords. When questioned, other jurors admitted to racial and safety concerns. The courtroom felt unstable. A mistrial was declared on November 20, 2024. That meant, no verdict. No closure. Not yet. The prosecution regrouped. A new trial date was set for February 5, 2025. As of now, Sheila sits in Escambia County Jail, pleading not guilty to all charges, awaiting her fate. When the jury pronounced Keith Agee guilty of first-degree murder in December 2023, it didn't feel like a victory, it felt like confirmation of just how senseless this entire tragedy was. Brooklyn Sims was gone. A young mother executed in her workplace. A child left without parents. And an entire community left wondering, how did it get this far? But Keith wasn't the only one facing justice. All eyes turned to his mother, Sheila Agee, the 50-year-old matriarch-turned-defendant who allegedly helped plan her grandchild's mother's murder with the kind of chilling detachment you'd expect in a mafia family, not a family from rural Alabama. Let's break down what happened after Keith's conviction, and why Sheila's case, to this day, is still unresolved. November 2024, nearly 15 months after the murder, Sheila Agee finally stood trial in Escambia County, Florida. The prosecution walked into that courtroom with what they thought was a slam-dunk case. And, to be fair, they had good reason. Let's revisit the evidence against Sheila. 1. Text messages, dozens of them, directly linking her to the planning of the crime. Oh, she urged her son, if you don't come kill her you a MFB***ch. Oh, she sent him Brooklyn's exact store location, she in aisle 52. Just don't shoot me. Oh, she discussed deleting texts after the shooting. 2. Cell tower data, placed her phone near Brooklyn's workplace earlier that day, raising questions about whether she scouted the location in person. 3. Deleted messages, investigators recovered wiped messages from Sheila's phone, messages that prosecutors said were clear attempts to cover her tracks. The prosecution's theory was simple, Sheila didn't pull the trigger, but she was the co-architect of murder. And they called that conspiracy. But then, the trial began. And the defense smelled blood, not in the evidence, but in the courtroom procedures. In what must have felt like a bad episode of Law and Order, Florida Man Edition, a juror was caught doing crossword puzzles during key witness testimony. Let that sink in, as a woman stood trial for her role in a premeditated murder, one of the jurors, the people responsible for deciding whether she lives free or dies in prison, was working on 5 across, a 4-letter word for lazy. Worse, the defense pointed out that some jurors had privately expressed racial concerns, fearing for their safety, suggesting that biases had already infected the deliberation process. And with Sheila being a black woman in the Deep South, that wasn't something the court could ignore. Judge Jan Shackelford had no choice. On November 20, 2024, she declared a mistrial. This is a serious case, with serious charges. I cannot allow it to proceed under these circumstances. Judge Shackelford, Escambia County. Just like that, the trial was tossed out like expired milk. No verdict. No justice. Not yet. When word of the mistrial spread, the reaction was immediate and visceral, especially in the Pensacola community. Social media exploded with frustration. She literally helped her son kill the mother of her grandchild. How is this even a question? A mistrial over a crossword puzzle? This system is broken. Local radio talk shows picked up the case. Community leaders called for court reform. And people asked what a lot of us were thinking, why hasn't she taken a plea deal? Sheila, for her part, remained in Escambia County Jail, continuing to plead not guilty. Her attorneys argued that the texts were taken out of context, that she was venting, not orchestrating a hit. They framed her as a worried mother, not a criminal mastermind. Prosecutors weren't buying it. And neither was the public. While Sheila's legal journey dragged on, Keith's life behind bars began. After being sentenced to life without the possibility of parole on December 20, 2023, he was transferred to a Florida State Correctional Facility. There, he reportedly remains quiet and compliant. There's been no indication of an appeal filed by his defense team. He never apologized publicly. He never offered a statement to Brooklyn's family. In court, he didn't even make eye contact with the judge. It's as if the murder of Brooklyn Sims was an event he's chosen to forget, even if the world never will. Caught in the middle of this mess is Brooklyn and Keith's daughter. Her name is protected. Her future? Complicated. Her mother is dead. Her father is serving life. And her grandmother is awaiting retrial for allegedly helping to kill her mom. In any other world, she might have had birthday parties, bedtime stories, and 2 loving parents. Instead, she's being raised without either of them, in a world where her very existence is part of the story that led to a killing. It's the kind of fallout no court can truly fix. After the mistrial, prosecutors wasted no time. A new trial date was set for February 5, 2025. As of August 2025, there have been 2 continuances due to defense motions requesting a change of venue and additional forensic review. Sheila remains incarcerated, and court documents show she's retained new legal counsel. The prosecution remains confident. They're rebuilding their case, this time with more expert witnesses, including a digital forensic analyst who will testify that the phone metadata proves Sheila was actively participating in the planning. The judge has promised a stricter jury selection process and enhanced trial oversight to prevent a repeat of the previous circus. If convicted, Sheila faces life in prison without parole. As of August 2025, Keith Agee is serving life in prison without the possibility of parole, convicted of first-degree murder in December 2023. Sheila Agee remains in jail, pending retrial scheduled for later this year. She continues to plead not guilty. Brooklyn Sims is remembered as a hardworking, bright, and kind young woman whose life was brutally taken at 18. The Sims family has remained mostly private, but one relative said, "Brooklyn didn't deserve to die in a hardware store while trying to make a living. And she sure didn't deserve to be hunted down by the father of her child." Justice doesn't always come fast. Sometimes, it takes retrials, reform, and relentless focus from the public to hold people accountable. As the case of Sheila and Keith Agee proves, evil doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes, it texts you directions and offers a ride to the crime scene. If you believe in justice, share Brooklyn's story. Remind others that behind every murder headline is a family grieving, a child growing up without answers, and a community still healing. What do you think? Should Sheila be held equally accountable for the murder? Or is she being overcharged as a mother who simply made catastrophic choices? Let us know in the comments.